So to determine equation in factored form, well, first you need to figure out what is the equation in factored form. How is it written? Y equals A minus R. Good. I want you guys to copy that. There's a bunch of variables in this equation. Let's discuss what each of the variables represent. So R and S represent what? The zeros or the x-intercepts, however we want to call them. Okay, R and S are the x-intercepts. So if you have a graph, you can look at the graph and automatically see where the x-intercepts are, right? What does A tell you? We did this at the beginning of the chapter. What are some things that A tells you? So if A is negative, it opens down. If A is positive, it opens up. If A is greater than 1, what happens? So it stretches. And if A is between 0 and 1, it's compressed, or wider, I should write compressed. Good. Okay? Now, you also have X and Y in the equation. I have X and I have a Y. Just like linear relations, X and Y represent a coordinate. Okay? The question was asking you to determine an equation, right? Just by looking at this graph, and you could also use the table as well, to come up with an equation, we have to replace which variables in this equation? R and S, and you need to know what A is, okay? So, just by looking at the graph, do you know A right now? We haven't learned that, right? You guys haven't learned that yet? Do you know R and S? Okay, plug in R and S. R and S are the x-intercepts. Here are the x-intercepts. So one of them is 0, the other one is 120. Y equals A bracket what? X minus 0, good. And X minus 120. We need to know what A is in order to complete our equation in factored form. You need to replace not only R and S, but you also have to replace A. Now, I talked about this earlier. We have two other variables in the equation. We have X and Y. That represents a coordinate. X, Y is a coordinate. Do you know any coordinate that is on this parabola? Yeah, you were given the table. So we plotted the points from the table. Doesn't matter which point you choose? No. So if you want, okay, you mentioned the vertex. Okay, let's plug in the vertex though. The vertex is 60, 30. 60, 30. So which one's X? What's X? And Y is 30. So where I see Y, I'm going to put 30 equals A, I don't know. Where I see X, I'm going to put 60, take away 0, and X, again, is 60, take away 120. Now we only have one unknown variable, and you've learned this in grade 9, grade 8, how to isolate a variable. Solve for A now. Okay, find A. A is equal to negative 1 over 120. Okay, now that you know A, you know R and S. What's the equation in factored form? Write it out. Can you simplify that again? Can you expand that? We're going to do this part first. Okay? So we're distributing X times X and X times negative 120. Do that part first. So it's negative 1 over 120, and I'm going to expand X times X, good, X squared, X times negative 120, 120X, okay? Is that it, or can I distribute this now? Okay, distribute that now. Okay, so negative 1 over 120 times X squared is negative 1 over 120 X squared. Negative 1 over 120 times negative 120 over X is positive X. 1X if you want to write. That's it. Okay, now this is in standard form. AX squared plus BX plus c. What's c? 0.